I'm sure you've heard people say that Citizen Kane is the greatest movie of all time. But have you ever wondered why people say that? I'm not necessarily claiming that Citizen Kane is the greatest movie of all time, but for the sake of the argument, let's just say it is and explain why. Now, the overall argument for this is that the film was just so innovative and far ahead of its time. There are so many elements of this film that make it so great, but for the sake of time, I'm only going to highlight a few. The first is the editing, specifically the non-linear editing. Now you have to remember, this film came out in 1941, and up until that point, there were very few, if any, films that followed the non-linear story structure approach. The film is basically telling two different stories at once. It seamlessly embeds them together to tell one cohesive story. Obviously today we see this done all the time, but without Citizen Kane, who knows what story structure would look like today. The next element is Charles Foster Kane, the character. The rise and fall of a powerful character is something we've seen done time and time again, but Citizen Kane set the precedent for this kind of story. What's so interesting is we never really know who Charles Foster Kane really was, because the story is told subjectively through other people's perspectives. It leaves us with more questions than answers at the end, but does answer one big question that we are searching for throughout the entire film: the meaning of the word rosebud. The third and final element I want to highlight is the cinematography. Many people attribute its use of lighting for the direct inspiration of the film noir style. There are so many shots in this film that I just shook my head and thought, how did they pull that off? Its use of low angles and deep focus creates a feeling that thousands of films have imitated since. There are so many different elements that I could get into, but that's all I'll highlight for today. Let me know if there's anything I missed in this breakdown. Please make sure to like and follow.